Okay, class, here is part 2 of creating a project folder in Autodesk Inventor. So, the next thing that you need to do, you created the name, you created the file. Now we need to add files to that folder. So again, we are designing and organizing a project folder or our workspace in Autodesk Inventor. We've named our project Clawbot, and then we've seen the project IPJ file, which contains and updates paths as you create your assembly, so that when you wrap up your assembly, you can move it from place to place. As long as it has that IPJ file, it should be able to find the files that you used. Design and organization. So we want to organize our file system in a way that makes sense to us. We want to simplify that process by categorizing and creating different folder names. So in this video, we're going to create a parts folder, and inside that parts folder we are going to create some subfolders for our parts. Luckily, you guys don't have to do this from scratch. It's all done for you by a team S to the third Vex team that put together this parts folder for us, so we don't need to do it. We're just going to use what they have. So let's go ahead and get started with creating our parts folder. So the thing that I need to do is go ahead and click on that link and start downloading your zipped file. So click on the link in Google Classroom or in the comments on the video. It should look like this, the VexCAD zipped files. Click on the download button. Download anyway. And as it downloads it'll put that in your stored file system. So while that downloads, I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and wait for that to finish, and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, that should be downloaded now. You should see it in your downloads bar here, where you can click on this upward arrow and say show in folder. That's a quick way of finding it in the folder system. Another way of doing that is going to the file system here, and then it should be in your downloads folder. So just find your downloads folder in your browser, and then once you find it in your browser here, just drag that zipped file out onto your desktop. I like it on the desktop because it's easier to find that way. Drag it over, and it's a zipped file, so we can't do anything with that quite yet. We need to place that into our projects folder. So if you know where to find that, you click on the File Explorer again, click on Documents, find your Inventor file, double click on that, and you should see your Clawbot folder. Go ahead and double click on that. Inside the Clawbot folder, this is where we want to create a couple of files. The first file that we want to create, so go down, right click, go down to New Folder, and call it your Parts folder. So now you have a Parts folder inside of your project. And then click on, right click again, go to New Folder, and create an Assembly folder. And this is where we'll place our assemblies. So let's call it Assemblies. So this is where we're going to place our assemblies that we make. So we have our Parts folder and our Assemblies folder. Go ahead and double click on the Parts folder, and we need to add all of those parts that we have in our zipped file system here. So go to the zipped file system, click on one of those files, and then hold down Control and press A, and that'll select all the files for you if you hold down Control and press A, or you can left click and drag and select all the files that way. Once all the files are selected, just drag them over into your parts folder that you just created, and that should take a second to place those parts in there. So at this time, I want to show you the names that this team named them: advanced gears, chain and tank tread, drive shafts, metal, motors, and sensors. So all of these names are great. The reason the names are great is it just helps you to find your parts easily. So when you're in the lab and you're actually working on a physical bot, these are kind of like your containers or your Tupperware or your toolbox. You want to label your toolbox or your drawers the correct names for the different parts that you're using, so you can find them quickly and you can build your bot as quickly as possible. The more organized you are, the quicker you can get things done. which is very important in competition, especially when you have to rebuild your bot over and over and over again. So let's go ahead and move on from there. So now we have our Inventor, Clawbot, and parts. If we go back to Inventor here, we click on our projects and we click on Clawbot, then click on Done. Make sure our project's open. Now go ahead and click on New, and we are going to do a new assembly. So go ahead and click on Standard IAM, Create. I just want to show you the file system in just a second. So as this comes up, so give it a second. If it says not responding, just wait a minute. It should open up for you. So now that this is opening up, anytime now, I guess it's the first time I created this project, so it's going to take a while. And it is opened up. So now what I want you to do is place your first part. If you click on place, it'll navigate to that Clawbot project folder where you created those two new files, the parts files and the assemblies file. So if you double click on parts, you can now place your first part on the screen. So it just makes your parts easier to find when you create this project folder system correctly and you name it correctly. And that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one.